Welcome to the most listened to golf in the world, the Fairways of Life show, on air, online, and around the world, with the most candid interviews, unforgettable stories, taking you beyond the ropes. Here's your host, New York Times best-selling author, Matt Adams.
Yeah, majors is where I have my attention for sure. I mean, obviously I'd take, like I said, I've achieved a lot in the game, but I've achieved a lot of it just once. So I'd take multiple of anything that I've achieved for sure would be great. But if I look at my career, yeah, I've been really close to the Open. I've been really close to the Masters. You know, the dream of winning all four is obviously the ultimate goal in you know, since I've been a kid. But it seems a long way off to think that way, but if you think about some of the results I've had in the last year or 18 months, I'm not that far away, so may as well keep believing.
Yesterday was probably one of my best rounds I've ever played in my career.
Welcome to the PXG Custom Studio, folks, where the 0311 Gen 8 irons mean that every swing becomes a chance to see measurable change, tighter dispersion, and longer carry. The dual perimeter weighting system empowers their fitters to dial in ball flight and shot shape. Log on to PXG.com as we welcome you into the Fairways of Life show. I am Matt Adams. Andrew and Dom are behind the glass. We've got a lot to unpack today with all that has already taken place in the world of golf and the way this season just keeps on building and building, because now we're already in February. Before we know it, we're going to be at the Masters and cannot wait, which brings me to what Justin Rose was just talking about. Not, you know, talking about major championships, knocking on the door in 24, what happened in 25, getting into the playoff with Rory at the Masters was incredible. This is a guy that at his age is doing things that don't normally get done at that age. He earned his 13th win at the Farmers Insurance Open at the age of 45 years, 6 months and 2 days. It came in his 447th start. He moved from number 10 to number 3 in the official World Golf Ranking, becoming the second oldest player in the top 3 of the official World Golf Rankings. Vijay Singh was also 45, but instead of 45 in 6 months, Vijay was 45 in 8 months. Justin becomes the 85th player in PGA Tour history to reach 13 wins. He moves to a tie for 73rd on that all-time list. His 265 aggregate, that's 23 under, marks the lowest 72-hole score in tournament history. His previous is 266 by George Burns in 1987 and Tiger in 1999. Speaking of Tiger, Justin's 7-stroke margin was the largest margin of victory at the event since Tiger Woods back in 2008 won it by 8 strokes. Yes, the very same Tiger from 2008, same course that he also won the famed U.S. Open on the broken leg. So much history surrounding everything that took place. Now you're looking at Justin Rose's career. Could you go back to that other graphic just for 1 second? Because I want to pay off what we're looking at there. 27 total professional wins. As I mentioned, 13 on the PGA Tour, 11 DP World Tour wins. That major championship came in 2013 at the U.S. Open. That was at Marion. He won the Olympic gold medal, the first for golf in the modern games for the men's side. That was at Rio in 2016. In 2018, he was a FedEx Cup winner. He ascended to world number 1. He's currently number 3 in the official World Golf Rankings. He's a 7-time European Ryder Cup player with 17.5 total points. In 2021, he won the Payne Stewart Award. So very, very impressive. So we've got a couple of cuts from Justin that I want to play for you as we take a look at the final leaderboard from the Farmers Insurance Open. You can see there Pearson Cootie, one of the twins, Siwoo Kim, Ryo Isasune were all those who were tied for second behind him. So with Justin, given his age, given the fact that he won wire to wire, I guess the place to start with him is to say this venue, the strength of the field, the manner in which you absolutely dominated the same. In retrospect, how are you feeling now? How do you look back on the week and the way that things developed and played out?
You know, first and foremost, it's obviously an amazing feeling to win anytime, any place, by one, by whoever, wherever, on any golf course. But yeah, when you start to think about some of the sort of the way this week unfolded, it really is probably incredibly special. Like you say, I think the the 36-hole, 54, 72-hole scoring record, the fact I think that I was able to kind of build my lead each day, extend my lead each day, is something that obviously as a player I'm proud of, where you can kind of feel like you can play with that pressure from day one, go wire to wire, and kind of keep progressing and keep moving forward. And maybe that's something I haven't been able to achieve before either. So a lot of self-satisfaction in that one. But yeah, this has always been one of my sort of favorite tournaments to come to, whether it just be the San Diego area, the Del Mar area, the golf course itself. Even though the golf course has been hit or miss for me, I kind of feel like I've played well or not here. I think last year I missed the cut of both the Farmers and the Genesis that we had here in that one year. But anyway, not to talk about that, but yeah, just what a week from start to finish. And I think it was sort of, I just got really disciplined this week. Obviously I was playing well, but I just thought the way I managed my game, the way I thought about things, the way I was patient at the right times, the way I was able to absorb a little bit of the odd mistake by holding the right putt at the right time. Yeah, it was just, there was a lot of sort of real, I guess, mental maturity from a strategic golf point of view out there, which, I think, look at the best players in history, Jack, Tiger, I'm going to say Scotty Scheffler now as well. That's the sort of thing that they do really, really well week in, week out, and I felt like that's something I did really, really well this week.
Justin, I know you said it doesn't matter whether you win by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but how aware were you of the scoring record here at this tournament, the 72-hole record, and did it mean a lot to you to break that? Yeah,
I was keenly aware of it, actually. It's the only thing I was really focused on the last 3 holes. I don't know if you know, but yeah, I wasn't exactly running the ball at the hole, the last couple greens. They were kind of tricky downhillers. I know the line on those putts, so they were kind of makeable in my head, but I was trying to get in the clubhouse at 23 or better. And, I hit a great tee shot on 18, but I was like 3 or 4 yards out from a perfect 7-wood. Wind was just a little bit in off the left, and the number was like bang on 7-wood, but if any hurt, and 3-wood's no play. 3-wood would be a mile through the green, so I was frustrated that I had to lay up, but at the same time, it was like, I have a job to do because, it would be nice to sort of, at the point you're leading by 7, it'd be nice to finish with a bit of a flourish and hit something on the green and, something like that. But I was like, there's still a bit of a job to do here. So I was trying to stay disciplined, yeah.
There's so many historical moments at this golf course. You go down with, obviously, the scoring record and then wire-to-wire finish like that. How does that make you feel knowing that you will always be kind of cemented where people remember like, oh, remember that time Justin Rose played here?
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of removed from that, the big picture right now, because it's just been so intense for 4 days. But yeah, incredible. Obviously I've watched Tiger here many, many years, kind of hit so many amazing shots, hole amazing putts. John Rahm from the back of the green, Jason Day winning here a couple times, for sure. I feel like I've been witness to that. So to be a part of it's always a bit surreal, But yeah, huge honor and privilege.
I guess the place where I go after listening to a player in the wake of a victory, especially a victory of this stature because of the stage that it took place on and more, is what changed, what was different. And he used the phrase in that soundbite that we just played for you, where he used this phrase of start to finish. And so, Dom, do me a favor. Would you please look up last year for the entirety of the season, because it's a better sample. Let me know what his scoring average was by round last year, because I suspect, based upon what he's saying, where my instinct goes, and based upon kind of a broad brush observation last year of Justin, was that there was a variance in his scoring per round. In other words, that kind of like Rory does a lot, he gets better as the round progresses. And how do you put yourself in a mindset, which, again, he was alluding to in that soundbite, where he's ready to go out of the gate to the finish line? Do you know what I'm saying, Dom? Can you find that?
Yeah, I'll look that up. I'm going to look it up right now for you, but give me like 2 seconds to look that up. While I'm looking it up, I want to ask you a question. You can answer this for the people. I believe you hosted the world feed of this event last week. Yeah. Which was seen everywhere across the world. I would imagine you got
in North America.
A lot of messages from your friends in the UK
We did. Yeah, I was working with Daniel Chopra, who's multiple-time winner on the PGA Tour. He was our guest in this show last week. Rich Beam, Incy Mehmet was on course. Gary Christian was on course. Gary's going to be joining us in this program, come on up in just a little bit. It actually, the world television broadcast goes to 170 different countries. but it's not seen in North America. The North America rights holder for the broadcast obviously was Golf Channel and CBS. So they had the coverage pre and during the heart of it. So that's, yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed doing that. I'll probably do, I'm going to guess by the end of the year, probably 10 of those when it was all said and done. And we were hearing from everybody. In Ireland and the UK, because it's Sky Golf's broadcast over there of the PGA Tour. So it was very cool. All right, were you able to find any numbers for me?
I do, and the numbers are fascinating based on what you said. It's interesting. It's good instincts there. So his round 1, 2, and 3 scoring average last year were terrible, like outside the top 100 on tour. In some cases, like in round 2, 177th. That's not great. But his round 4, his final round scoring average last year was 69.0. That was 16th on the PGA Tour. That's a massive, that's crazy.
Was 177th in the second round the worst of the lot?
Yeah, 71.78. I mean, like almost a full 3 shots worse in the second round versus his final round in terms of scoring.
Absolutely fascinating. Now, the other thing you heard him talking about, one of the journalists asked him about going wire to wire. The last to go wire to wire at this event, Tommy Bolt in 1955. Think about that for just a second. So he was asked this interesting question about that kind of preparation and doing what he just did from a historic perspective.
Wow, that's an amazing stat. I guess it's hard. Yeah. Obviously, if you build a big enough lead, it kind of gets easier, I suppose. But still, it's there's danger lurking everywhere. You know, it's the kind of golf course that you get in the rough, you start sort of, compounding errors, you miss on the wrong side, especially when the greens get firm like they were getting today. There were sort of certain areas in our yardage book that we've had as not a bad miss in the past, like just the back edge of 10 or just long of 10 was not that bad at times. This week, because the greens were getting firm, like the subtleties of the golf course really come out and you can start making bogeys in a heartbeat. So, in some ways, that's good if you're leading because you can be patient. And obviously, guys trying to chase end up making more mistakes because they're pressing. So it's it's an interesting one. And I feel like the best stretch of golf I played was sort of the back end of middle of 2017 into the beginning of 2018. I think statistically, or the amount of top 10s anyway. And then I think actually, here at Torrey in 2019, I was world number 1, and I got it to 21 under. I think I finished about 2019, 20. I got it to 21 at one point, and I felt like that was some of the best golf I'd played at that time as well. And I think that maybe I would say I've had some rounds last year. Whether it be Sunday at Augusta, whether it be the Saturday of the Ryder Cup, whether it would be some of the golf this week, to be honest, yeah, I think that those days or those weeks or those rounds are definitely showing me that the gas is still in the tank, and obviously accessing it is the job now, or is the trick. How do I do that more often? That's always the trick, but at least knowing it's there is kind of very builds a lot of confidence. Yeah, majors is where I have my attention for sure. I mean, obviously, like I said, I've achieved a lot in the game, but I've achieved a lot of it just once. So I'd take multiple of anything that I've achieved for sure would be great. But if I look at my career, yeah, I've been really close to the Open. I've been really close to the Masters. The dream of winning all 4 is obviously the ultimate goal since I've been a kid. But it seems a long way off to think that way, but if you think about some of the results I've had in the last year or 18 months, I'm not that far away, so may as well keep believing.
Secondly, there's been a big focus on LIV this week, obviously, with Brooks coming back and the announcement on Patrick. You left here last year, I think, at number 55 in the world, and I'm wondering how much this last year, if not before that, has kind of given you validation of what was put in front of you and the decision you made.
Yeah, I feel like, my career goals have always only been attainable by staying sort of, on the European Tour and the PGA Tour, because, access to them is not possible the other way. But obviously, I want to play in and amongst the best players in the world. That obviously, for me, is kind of what keeps me motivated, what keeps me hungry, what keeps me pushing. So, yeah, it would have been easy to potentially do other things, but none of that excited me, I don't think, really, and none of it gave me access to what I wanted to achieve. So I kind of always felt like my childhood self wouldn't feel very good about making that decision, you know, and kind of giving up on those dreams. And I feel like, yeah, I've been close. I would say, you know, sniffing and knocking on the door for a couple of majors since those decisions have been made. And those moments, yeah, it did validate the decision. But yeah, not to weigh in on the world of golf right now. Yeah, I feel like it's good to see people wanting to kind of play where it motivates them to be their best.
Yeah, to the points that Justin was making, as I mentioned, he won the U.S. Open at Marion in 2013. At the Masters, he has finished second or tied for second in 2015, 2017, and, of course, as I mentioned last year, in the battle with Rory McIlroy in 2025. At the PGA Championship, he finished tied for third in 2012, and at the Open, he has finished second or tied for second in 2018 and in 2024. And another accolade that I'm going to mention just because it has the merit, he was a European Tour Order of Merit winner back in 2007. Really impressive. We're not done talking about Justin Rose and what this win means not only to him personally, but what it could mean to the season that's still the vast majority of which lies before us. Speaking about legends, Ben Hogan Golf is back. Yeah. The equipment that has this man's name etched right in the metal. It has long been, literally decades and decades and decades, some of the most sought-after equipment, and there's good reason why. It is absolutely gorgeous. It is truly works of art, but what impresses me is when you have a work of art that has in it all of the latest technology to help you play your very best golf, and it is direct to consumer. BenHoganGolf.com, they are your tour truck. Be proud of the equipment that you play and slip Ben Hogan golf clubs into your golf bag. More of the Fairways of Life show coming up after this, including another huge name in golf winning this past weekend.
Golfers today are a different breed.
Who? Me?
We see the game in a different way.
We all have our own styles.
We swing our own swing.
But we have one thing in common.
We are all about the details.
Introducing the Revel line of grips from Superstroke. With 3 distinct offerings to choose from, the Revel is in the details.
In Ireland, golf is more than just a game. Come and experience our world-famous links courses and our world-famous Parkland courses, all set alongside world-famous scenery. And visit our world-famous historic sites. And while you're here, enjoy our world-famous hospitality. Fill your heart with Ireland at ireland.com/golf.
Ben Hogan Golf Equipment is back. Established in 1953, we serve golfers who demand excellence of their equipment. Designed by the game's best engineers, forged in the world's best foundries, and built to order in the USA. Don't settle for off-the-rack disappointment. Elevate your game with custom clubs at direct-to-consumer pricing. Exclusively at benhogangolf.com. That's benhogangolf.com.
The Rome clubs are costing you strokes. PXG could fix that for an amazing new price. PXG Black Ops drivers, double gold winning, effortless distance, and game-changing forgiveness. PXG Gen 7 irons, unmatched quality, precision, and a feel so pure you'll never want to swing anything else. Save your season and save with incredible new pricing on Black Ops and Gen 7. Book your fitting now. PXG, you've never played like this before.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at flightscope.com.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds. When golfers lose their focus, they're totally... But Bridgestone can help. Introducing Mindset. The ball scientifically designed to keep you focused.
First, identify your target.
Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the Tour B and E12 with Mindset technology. You see what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
What does it take to be an original?
Cam knows something about that. So does Chi-Chi, Charlie, and you get it. In 1955, we stepped onto the scene. Now a new generation of pros are wearing the most iconic styles in the game. The fit, the feel, the look. It's all an expression of you. Original Penguin. Here for the good times.
Middle market businesses are facing unprecedented shifts, which demand tailored solutions and decisive action. RSM stands as the unwavering leader of the middle market, empowering you to take charge of change and conquer this era of transformation. RSM. Experience the power of being understood.
As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, from wherever you are joining us, Nelly Korda won this past week at the Hilton Grand Vacations Tournament of Champions in Orlando, Florida. Remember, she didn't win last year. She's 27 years old. She joined the LPGA in 2017. She has 21 professional wins to her credit, 16 of which have taken place on the LPGA Tour. 2 major championships to boot, the Women's PGA Championship in 21 and then the Chevron in 24. She was the Olympic gold medalist in Tokyo in 2020. She was a 2024 LPGA Tour Player of the Year, the 2024 Race to the CME Globe winner. Currently, she is number 2 in the Rolex Women's World Golf Rankings, and she's a 4-time member of the United States Solheim Cup team with a 10-5-1 record. Now, this past weekend, yes, it's very much about what she accomplished, but she did it in some incredible circumstances where, Nelly, you had to play through some very, very cold temps and some very high winds. How'd you prepare for it and be able to keep your form?
You know, we knew 10 days before this, or 7 a week before this, that Saturday and Sunday were going to be really tough, especially with the wind projection for Saturday afternoon and then the cold temps that it was bringing for Sunday. So it was just kind of mentally prepare for it. Yesterday was probably one of my best rounds I've ever played in my career. Just really proud of, you know, everything that Jay and I went through to get to that point of the process, the mental clarity of my shots, and commitment to each one of them. So overall, just really happy. But, you know, Orlando threw a lot at us in a few days. Golf is a game of centimeters. You know, there were so many times last year where I wished I had an inch here or a centimeter there where it would have changed the story completely. But that's just how it goes sometimes. As long as you are mentally 100% in it and preparing to your best ability, like, that's all you can control at the end of the day. Same with weather. So I was so close. I played really well last year, and obviously I didn't get the win, but I played some amazing golf the first 3 days this week, and I'm really proud of myself, my team, and all the work that we have put in when, you know, no one was watching and everyone was talking about it. So I'm just very happy to get the first win of the year, and hopefully that leads into a great year too. But no matter what, like, I'm always going to put 100% into it. With results, when it comes to sports, like, you just never know. Like, and the only thing you can control is the level and the input that you put into your craft and your sport. And I will always be doing that. So no matter the results, like, I just know that mentally I'm doing that every single day I step on the golf course, and that's what I'm proud of. I did a lot of good last year. It just kind of wasn't going my way. I guess I was just so focused on being really present, which, you know, I told myself to do that last year too, but maybe the outside noise did, you know, make its way in a little bit more than I wanted to, and I learned a lot from that. There are times where it's like, okay, I'm very grateful to go through those lows because they make me appreciate the highs so much, and they make me appreciate what I need to really pay attention to and what is actually relevant to me. As long as my team knows who I am and my team knows that I'm putting 110% in it and they're on the same wavelength of putting 110% in it, that's all that matters to me.
Let's stay with the Nelly Korda theme here for a moment. Time now for Did You Know, presented by Flight Scope. The revolutionary i4 rangefinder is like a caddy in your pocket. Take it into account everything, not just distance from here to there, but also humidity and wind and elevation. It gives you effective distance. Log on to flightscope.com so that you can have the caddy in your pocket. Let's take a look at what Nelly has done over the past couple of years. In 2024, in 16 starts, she had 7 wins, including 11 top 10s, and she won that major championship that we talked about, the Chevron. In 2025, she went winless. 19 starts, she had 9 top 10s, and of course, in 2026, 1 start, 1 win to her credit. But to the point of how well she actually played last year, and this speaks to how hard it is to actually win. In 2024, when she had that remarkable season, her scoring average was 69.56. In 2025, in which she went over with wins, her scoring average was 69.44. She actually had a better scoring average in 2025 with no wins than she had over 2024 when she won 7 times. All right, time now for highlights from TGL. Let's jump right in. Jupiter Golf Links versus Atlanta Drive Golf Club. Tigers team still searching for the first win. This is at the second. Lucas Glover putting from 20 feet for birdie and a 2-0 lead. That would result from that. What do we call that? The Lucas Shovel?
Welcome back, Lucas Glover.
Indeed, Atlanta off to a fast start. Let's take you ahead to the 4th hole, par 5. Jupiter Golf Links, Kevin Kister with a wedge from 98 yards. This for his 3rd. Beautifully played. Spins it back inside of 5 feet. High five from Tiger. Come on, deliver. And that would mean a birdie, and the match is tied at 2. Now, Max Homa from Jupiter, the next tee is a par 3, 168 yards. So good. This one would end up nestling inside of 5 feet, where Kiz would drain that putt to put Jupiter Golf Links ahead by a score of 3-2 at that time. After another victory at the 6th, Jupiter Golf Links started to pull away. They're ahead 4-2 now. Akshay Bhatia on the tee from 209 yards. Yeah, that's how good it was. This would end up inside of 5 feet. Jupiter would throw the hammer. Atlanta would decline it. That means they concede the hole. Jupiter now up 5-2. A hammer from 12 from Jupiter would result in a 2 points and an 8-2 lead, and Jupiter Links would hold on for their first victory of the year. With Tiger Woods on hand, it's hugs all around. There you can see the final margin. Kiz and Tiger spoke to the win after.
Well, that was fun. I heard in my ear at the very end that I led strokes gained overall for the match, and I've never done that in my entire career other than putting. So suck on that, Atlanta. No, it's fun, man. I've been disappointed with my play not being as competitive the last couple of years as I'm accustomed to, and it's been fun to be back out there, and I really wanted to show it up for the guys. It's nothing worse. You play bad by yourself, and it's okay. You play bad for your teammates, and it really stinks. So to go out there and hit shots for these guys is a lot more fun, and see them excited about it is really cool. So love being a part of the team and love getting a win tonight.
Sam? Tiger, great performance by the team tonight. Did you say anything in the locker room before the match to get the guys going?
No, we were just on a group text together, and we just had a lot of fun. It's normal team stuff. The great thing is that we've all been together here. Akshay's, been incredible to be part of this team, and we haven't won a match in a couple of years, so it's nice to actually get up on the right side of the leaderboard finally.
All right, let's take a look at the notable players this week at the WM Phoenix Open. There you see Sam Burns, Harris English, Matt Fitzpatrick, Ben Griffin, Brooks. I'm looking for good things from Brooks. I know everyone keeps talking about him missing a lot of putts last week, but his ball striking got better and better as the week went on. Colin Morikawa, ball striking machine. Scotty Scheffler. Jordan Spieth, J.J. Spawn, Victor Hovland, who you hear from in a little while, Hideki Matsuyama, Xander Schauffele, amongst those that will be there. Now, Michael Kim sent out a tweet. This was just him saying, calm before the storm. He walks out on 16, and they're saying that this cauldron now can hold more than 20,000 souls surrounding it. And you can see that the players are thinking about it early. All right, let's bring you up to speed on how you can watch the WM Phoenix Open this week. This is PGA Tour live coverage Thursday and Friday from 9:15 a.m. all the way up to the conclusion of play. On Saturday, it starts at 11:30 a.m. and Sunday at 11 a.m. As to the network coverage, Thursday and Friday from 3:30 p.m., all these times are Eastern. Saturday, it's split between Golf Channel at noon and CBS Sports at 3 p.m. On Sunday, noon on Golf Channel. Once again, 3 p.m. on CBS Sports. PGA Tour Radio can be heard on PGAtour.com. It can be heard on the PGA Tour app. It can also be heard on Sirius XM in North America from 2 p.m. on Thursday and Friday, from 1 p.m. on Saturday, and from 1 p.m. on Sunday. More of the Fairways of Life show coming up, including an expert will join us, someone that has actually been out there doing it and competing, talking about, Justin Rose in review, but also the WM Phoenix Open in preview. Stay with us.
If that doesn't get your golf hormones raging, I don't know what will. This horse will do it again!
Slam dunk. What a shot.
Every tournament starts here all season long.
Justin, was there a time in your career when you had to kind of mentally recommit yourself to working towards success, working harder, all the recovery things that you do now? Was there a point where you kind of had to decide that that was a priority?
Yeah, I would say I've always tried really hard, but I think maybe post-COVID-ish, that time, like 2021, that era, so coming off the back, kind of getting to world number one, started to play pretty poor golf, I think, in 2020, 2021, maybe in 2022, I can't really remember, that they all blend into one another, but I felt like at that point, I needed to make a shift, because I was like, I don't want to go out like this. I don't want to just be having been number one in the world and just kind of drift into nowhere. So I felt like there was a bit of a, I'm not going to let that happen sort of mentality. So a bit of a recommitment, obviously, a bit of a reassembling of a team as well. Mark Blackburn's been, a fantastic addition. That was kind of back end of 22 into 23. He's kept me on point. We have a great blueprint. He's really been, wonderful for me as well. Along with, Fuchs coming back on the bag as well. And so, there's been a few changes, but the commitment as well. Yeah, I didn't really bring it up at all during the whole week, but 2019 I won with another caddy on my bag, Gareth Lord, who caddied for Henrik Stenson for many years. He's a close friend of both Fuchs and mine, and Fuchs was in hospital having heart surgery. So he had a few months out, and then one thing led to another, and Lordy ended up staying on my bag, and then took Fuchs and I a couple of years to get back together. And I think that win was always a tough one for Fuchs, because he's like kind of not fighting for his life, but he was in a pretty bad way in the hospital, and seeing us kind of cruise to victory and hugging Lordy on the 18th green. He nearly had to have another procedure after that, I think. So I didn't really, in my head, it was in my head all week, wouldn't it be nice to win with Fuchs here? And it was totally unsaid until across the water on 18, and I was like, that was fun to enjoy that with him. And I don't know if it came across on the broadcast. I mean, I felt like there were cameras everywhere. I didn't know if it was the right camera that we were talking to, but it was just a nice moment to share with him. Yeah.
What did you? We couldn't hear on TV what you said to him. What did you?
I think we were just trying to sort of have a bit of banter or make light of the fact, hey, Lordy, I hope you're watching now, because, now it's Fuchs's turn to be walking down the 18th with me here at Torrey. And, we were just kind of going through what happened in 2019, I suppose. But yeah.
So impressive to hear from Justin Rose. And I leaned in and listening to him in terms of the what he called the commitment and how he refreshed his team, as he put it, Fuchs back on the bag and more. He's 45 years old. He's won 27 times amongst the professional ranks, including 13 times on the PGA Tour, 11 times on the DP World Tour. That major championship, the gold medal, FedEx Cup winner, was number one, currently number 3 in official world golf rankings, number 1 in his career, I should say. 7-time European Ryder Cup player with 17.5 points to his credit, and he was the 2021 Payne Stewart Award winner. Gary Christian is a multiple-time winner amongst the professional ranks. I believe he was our field reporter this week for the World Television broadcast, and I think he's at the airport someplace, if I am correct. Gary, how are you holding up, my friend?
I'm doing great, Matt. How are you? I'm enjoying the sights of Birmingham Airport in Alabama.
Very good. I'm sure you had an opportunity to enjoy the sights throughout the course of the week because you were assigned to follow Justin Rose. We were looking, you were probably working your way through security, but I wanted to throw something at you that I thought he spoke afterwards about being present, about being committed from start to finish. And that phrase, start to finish, earlier in the program, I asked Dom to look up. I was just curious about scoring average and whether we were talking about a situation perhaps with Justin Rose where, as we see with many good players, is they get better as the tournament progresses. Sure enough, just to put this in a nutshell, his second-round scoring average last season, to give it a good body of evidence, was ranked 177th on tour, and his final round scoring average was 16th. What we saw from him this week, is it fair to say it's wire-to-wire, Gary, that we saw a Justin Rose that was committed on every shot from beginning to end? Was that something that you saw manifest?
Yeah, I mean, when I interviewed him afterwards, we were talking about the process, and he is one of the most processed orientated players on the PGA Tour, not just in his golf, but in his preparation and everything he does to get his body and his swing and his mind and his nutrition and everything just right to give himself the very, very best chance of playing his best golf, but staying present. His commitment to his routine, everything about it, he leaves no stone unturned. I was actually talking to Fuchs kind of about the stuff that he does to be as good as he is and maybe playing his best golf of his life at 45. He travels with equipment where I think that on a trader they bring, like infrared therapy and the ice, steam and sauna, because he knows that's his very best chance of being competitive. Now, there's a lot of other 40-something-year-olds on the tour who can kind of get by on just talent, and they can keep their cards every year. But it seems to me like Justin wants to reinvent and keep getting better and wants to be, one of the very elite players in the world and win tournament after tournament and majors in his 40s, which to me is an incredible level of commitment.
What is it like when you've been around the best of the best, whether you define that by guys who continue to be competitive late in their careers, gross number of wins? What is it, Gary? Can you define it for us that is different about the very best than all the rest in terms of their ability to keep that fire burning?
They don't settle. They don't settle for what they've achieved. They are ultra competitive. And, it goes from the college level. I talked to Coach Fields at Texas, and I said, what is it that Jordan Spieth and Scotty Scheffler have in common that kind of separate themselves? I think before I'd even said that last syllable, he said ultra competitiveness. And then that bleeds to elevate yourself on the PGA Tour, the same kind of thing where you just don't accept that okay, at 45, my career is gonna be on the downward path, and I might still, have the odd, performance where I may win or I may get in the last group in the last round. Justin he doesn't think about that. He wants to prove he's the best player in the world, and he wants to test himself against the best, and he wants to test himself in the biggest tournaments in the world. And, I'm really excited to see what he could achieve with a body that works like someone who's 10 years younger than him, with the commitment to excellence. When we saw him full swing, that trying to make the Ryder Cup and Monday qualifying or qualifying for the Open Championship, all of these things, normal people, they don't have that level of commitment and that level of belief in themselves, especially as Father Time has taken over. It really is something we should marvel at.
You mentioned the Ryder Cup. It would seem to make sense with it going back to the UK. Now, granted, it's in the Republic of Ireland in 27 at Adair Manor. Justin Rose being from England, he seemed to me like he'd be the perfect captain of the European side for the Ryder Cup. But then you look at it and said, for all these things that you just said, even though by that time you're looking at a guy in his late 40s, he might still be playing too good to put him in that conversation of will he, won't he?
Yeah, don't you dare say he's ready for captaincy. He's ready to play. He's ready to play 2 more, at least. I mean, that's the amazing thing. He has reinvented the way we think about, how old you need to be where you start, reducing your goals. He's proved where he is on the official world rankings. He is one of the best players in the world, and that's not going to disappear, as assuming you still have that intensity of preparation and that ability to still keep digging deeper and trying to get better every year. And that's what he has. He has that natural inquisitiveness that he will find a way to get better at this time next year than he is right now. And to me, that is hard to do at that age.
When you posed the question yourself, Gary, just a moment ago, and you said he might be playing the best golf of his life. So I want to reflectively bounce this back to you, if I may. Is he playing the best golf of his life right now?
I think he is. When you see what he did in Memphis in the FedEx Cup playoffs, you see how he dominated a very good field on a 7,700-yard golf course. So, the great thing about Justin, he hasn't lost length. He's actually gained length in the last, in his 40s. He has that commitment to just keep reinventing himself. So, when you dominate a course like Torrey Pines, there's something a little bit special about you and about where your game is, because Torrey Pines will identify any weakness in your game. And to do what he did there last week shows there's no weakness in the game. And so, maybe early in the career, there may be a few weaknesses that could show up over the passage of time. But to me, he drives it great. He drives it long. His iron play is controlled to be able to hit it in the right spot at the right time. He's putting, I think, better than he's ever putted before, and his short game's still incredible. So, to me, he's a complete golfer.
Yeah, and when you look at the highest tier of the game in terms of how players are judged, and he alluded to this directly, last year at last year at the Masters, he finishes in that playoff loss to Rory. The year before that at Royal Troon, he played extremely well and finished second there. So you're talking about second and shares of second at major championships in consecutive years leading up to this. It seems to underscore everything you're talking about, that whilst this weekend was wildly impressive, now you're talking about the game at its highest tier in major championships, and he's continuing to knock on the door. I don't know if there's anything more that could emphatically underscore everything we're discussing.
Yeah, well, you think of those 2 major performances, that's a great career for someone. And he's done it in a year. I mean, it is, I can't wait to see where he goes. And it all goes down to, how you can maintain that intensity. And, Justin, the reason why it's so hard in your 40s is, number one, your body starts to break down. That hasn't happened. Number 2, you have family commitments and you have other commitments, business commitments, and he's got such a great balance. He talked about that in his interview, about the balance that he has. He's got an incredible team around him. So, all the pieces of the puzzle are right there. So, there's no reason why Justin can't go win 4 or 5 times this year and maybe tack on another major.
While he may take care of the following on his own right, he has 13 wins on the PGA Tour. In reference to a discussion of Justin Rose in the World Golf Hall of Fame, generally there is the comments that, well, 15 wins on the PGA Tour. I think that's unfair when you talk about someone like Justin Rose with the body of work that he's already accomplished. Even if he didn't win again, he still also won 11 times on the DP World Tour. If we're truly a World Golf Hall of Fame, I think worldly production and proficiency should be taken into account. Where do you fall in terms of making a case for Justin Rose into the World Golf Hall of Fame right now?
Well, I don't think there's a case that he's not in the World Golf Hall of Fame. I just think everything he's accomplished, from the performance as an amateur at Birkdale when he was 17, to a major win, to 13 wins, to an ambassador around the world, to the Ryder Cup appearances, to be a hero of the Ryder Cup. I mean, it's just, I don't think it's even a discussion. I think his place in the history of the game at the highest levels is cemented, and it should just be a coronation for him to be in there.
Yeah, interesting, too. When we talk about golfers coming from England, I was actually surprised to see this stat. He has the most wins on the PGA Tour of any golfer from England. Second is Sir Nick with 9. Now, you also had a chance last week to follow Brooks Koepka as he made his way back onto the PGA Tour. What can we read, Gary, into the performance that we saw from Brooks? How much of it was impacted by, he told us he was going to be nervous, et cetera. How much of it was impacted by those emotions and kind of getting this one out of the way and clearing the way perhaps for this week where he's won?
Yeah, I think that was everything. I mean, Brooks is a stoic character who doesn't show a lot of emotion, and he gave a lot of honest press conferences, and he gave a lot of honest comments that, in his mind, in the past that I've been around him, he never wants to show any form of weakness. So when you say you're a little bit nervous and, the adrenaline was pumping, in my mind, the old Brooks probably wouldn't have mentioned that. But, I think, he had to be honest with himself. And, you're right, it was kind of good to just get it out of the way, to get all the scrutiny out of the way. Now he's still going to be scrutinized every tournament he's going to play in. But he's going back to a place he's had success before. If you bear in mind, Torrey Pines, I can't believe, I think his best performance was 45th before last week, which, should be a course that is absolutely tailor-made for his game. So now he goes to a place where he's won twice. Kind of the atmosphere of the crowd, I think, would suit him. I think he, likes to, without showing a ton of emotion, he likes to be a performer in front of the biggest fans and the biggest fan base. And, I'm looking forward to seeing how week 2 comes along. Now, I'm really interested to see how the course of the year is going to pan out. If you think about it, he's in his mid-30s. He's had some injuries. He's been away from the PGA Tour for a few years. In that time period, the PGA Tour has got better, it's got younger, it's got hungrier. There's less spots available. I mean, there's all of these things that he's playing on a very different PGA Tour, and I don't think he can just come back thinking that old Brooks is going to be enough to be a dominating force in the game again. I think if he understands that early, that, man, I'm almost going to start from scratch here and be as intense as I possibly can be, and show no mercy, and go out to prove in effect from scratch that I am one of the elite players in the world. And I think that's going to be the biggest part of it, because I don't think you can just turn up as Brooks Koepka as a multiple major winner and say that this gives me a divine right and I'll just pick up where I left off.
Yeah, I thought his ball striking, Gary, got better as the week went on. As you alluded to, too, I didn't see as much of the gladiatorial type of posture, which would seem to fit perfectly in the WM Phoenix Open this week, to the point of the tournament and how unique this tournament is constantly in the world of sport. We talk about keeping the noise out. Nelly spoke about it in some sound we just played from her earlier in the show, and she said the noise sometimes sneaks in. The WM Phoenix Open is defined by noise, and I wonder if sometimes that noise actually takes away from how stout the field is this week.
Yeah, I mean, it's the show, right? It's the unique tournament on the PGA Tour. There's nothing like it. There's nothing close to it. And, you know, just maybe for 1 week of the year, I think it's an incredible spectacle to be part of that and to have the sheer numbers there and the craziness that comes with it. But as you say, I mean, the reason it's so popular is because the best players in the world want to showcase their talents and they want to do something spectacular in front of those crowds. They're entertainers. If we understand that, you want, if you're an entertainer, you want the biggest spectacle possible. And so, you know, I love it that the players embrace it. The players rev up the crowd on 16. You know, there's so many great things about the tournament. But, you know, when all said and done, we've got Scotty Scheffler, we've got Brooks Koepka, we've got a ton of great players, we've got a load of the top 10 in the world, a load of the top 50 in the world. So we are in really good shape to have something spectacular. The weather is going to be about as good as it's ever been. You know, the course record 60, don't be surprised if someone has a little look in at getting it under 60 because, you know, 80 degrees with not much wind, hopefully, you know, the ball's going to go forever. The course only measures 7,200 yards or so. So it's, you know, in today's standards, it's a pitch and putt course. So there's a ton of scoring opportunities. And, you know, I think that's a great combination with the spectators and the fans, low scoring, and it could be a shootout. It could be Scotty Scheffler and the best players in the world going down the stretch, each trying to do it with birdies.
32 of the top 50 players in the world ranking, including 4 of the top 10, Scotty Scheffler, J.J. Spaun, Xander Schauffele, and Ben Griffin. Gary, what are you going to be doing this week?
I'm going to be doing the world feed again, so I'll be in the studio in Ponte Vedra, and I will look forward to the comfort of Florida hospitality without the hordes of people getting in the way of me trying to get inside the ropes. It is a spectacle. I actually was there a few years ago and would follow a group in the morning and then spend all afternoon at 16 and interviewing spectators and celebrities. And it was a phenomenal week. It was so much fun. But at the end, I needed to take a breath and sit in a darkened room for a few hours.
Gary, excellent work as always. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.
I'm looking forward to this week's WM Phoenix Open. As Gary was just saying, it's one time a year when you see it to this scale with all the hundreds of thousands of people that will be there, the 20+ thousand that would be surrounding 16 that we just talked about. I'm okay with it. And I'm okay with it not simply because of the fact that people say, well, it's once a year. I'd be okay if it happened more than once a year at other tournaments as well. I just think it's fun, and I think it's different, and it's really cool to see golf raised to this type of popular stage and the players having fun with it too if they embrace it. I know not all of them do, but those that do tend to perform well there, and I think that just heightens the drama of it all and the entertainment of it all, as Gary was talking about. All right, when we come back, we're going to talk to another winner on the PGA Tour, and I'd like to talk to him about the state of where golf is right now. And is there anything he'd like to change along the way? That as the Fairways of Life show continues.
You think you know Florida golf? Think again. 4 legendary courses and counting. Carved from reclaimed earth where a mining past meets a golf future. Wild but intentional, this is golf that makes you feel something. Legendary courses, unforgettable moments. This is Stream Song.
Head down, water down the left, bunker down the right, take the club straight back.
Wandering minds. When golfers lose their focus, they're totally... But Bridgestone can help. Introducing Mindset. The ball scientifically designed to keep you focused. First, identify your target. Next, visualize your shot path.
And then focus on the green dot and smooth one.
Play the Tour B and E12 with Mindset technology.
You see what happens when we work together? Stuff like that.
Imagine your ultimate golf experience. There's a good chance it's Michigan's Magnificent 11. 11 spectacular courses from Boyne Golf, varied in both topography and play. Boyne Golf was named the #1 best golf destination in USA Today Reader's Choice 2025. And the Highlands at Harbor Springs is the #2 golf resort in that same USA Today poll. The ultimate golf experience. That's Michigan's Magnificent 11.
This is golf.
Nice shot, honey.
And this is Golf's Superstore.
Oh, yeah, we'll take this.
The wrong clubs are costing you strokes. PXG can fix that for an amazing new price. PXG Black Ops drivers. Double gold winning, effortless distance, and game-changing forgiveness. PXG Gen 7 irons. Unmatched quality, precision, and a feel so pure you'll never want to swing anything else. Save your season and save with incredible new pricing on Black Ops and Gen 7. Book your fitting now. PXG, you've never played like this before.
Hey, I'm golf broadcaster Matt Adams. You know, Hub's Peanuts has been cooking up the top 1% of peanuts for over 70 years. And these aren't your average nut. These are super extra large Virginia peanuts cooked in the USA. Family-owned Hub's Peanuts have more protein than any other nuts. So whether it's a boost on the course or a special gift, the variety of flavors guarantees Hub's Peanuts is just what you need. Family-owned, nutritious, delicious, and sustainable. Hub's Peanuts, it's just right. HubsPeanuts.com.
FlightScope Mevo Plus is the ultimate indoor and outdoor golf launch monitor and simulator. It gives you the club and ball data you need with the accuracy you demand. Mevo Plus comes with ownership of simulated golf courses for you to play and practice at home. Mevo Plus is an essential golf partner to help you improve and understand your game better. Put more purpose in your practice. To learn more and get your Mevo Plus, shop now at FlightScope.com.
4! This is golf, and this is Golf Superstore, the only place you can walk in for a free driver fitting, have it built, and tee it up the same day. Try Fit and Go today.
As we welcome you back to the Fairways of Life show, Newton's Fast Motion Shafts shave 10 grams off their regular shafts, becoming the lightest shaft without compromising power or speed. Motion shafts allow energy created through your swing to be stored more efficiently than released in a more controlled, stable manner through impact. Their proprietary Symmetry 360 design virtually eliminates any spine and ensures consistency from shot to shot, and their unique dot system enables that you get the perfect shaft flex specifically designed for your game. Log on to NewtonGolfCo.com and see why they are becoming the most talked about golf shafts in the game. Greg Chalmers is our guest now. Greg is an 11-time winner amongst professional ranks. He's won on the PGA Tour multiple times in the Korn Ferry Tour, 635 starts on tour, 53 career top 10s and 142 career top 25s. If you do the math on that, that's 23% of his career starts-ish in the top 25 between Korn Ferry Tour, PGA Tour, and Champions Tour. Most impressive indeed. So is he. How are you, Greg? How's life?
No, I'm getting old, mate. That's what it sounds like by that blurb you just read off. Yeah, no, I'm doing really well. Thank you, Matt. I just had surgery a couple of weeks ago. I had a couple of 3 weeks ago. I had torn meniscus in my left knee, so I'm recovering from that nicely. Looking to kick off my season and get things rolling here.
How long is the recovery from that?
Not too bad, honestly. It's arthroscopic surgery, and the doctor was like, should be good to swing in 3 weeks, and that's about today. And I started hitting balls a couple of days ago, just slowly. I'm hoping I can go to Naples next week for the Champions Tour first event, the Chubb Classic, and get my season going. But if not, that's okay. We're just going to sort of take it easy, and I can start in March definitely. So we'll see how next week goes.
Has the PGA Tour Champions been what you hoped it would be for you?
Oh, everything. I love it. It's such a lovely place and a lovely tour and a place to play golf. Just a beautiful mix of competitiveness, and guys are kind of chilled out, and really friendly, and it's just this lovely spot at this time of your life. I really, really love it. It ticks so many boxes for me, and I think a lot of guys. So the standard is extremely high, and it's a really a wonderful place to play golf.
Is it true that when you go out onto the PGA Tour Champions, you suddenly find out that the caliber of competition is even better than you anticipated it would be?
Yeah, it's a very high level, particularly at the top. It's we watch what Stephen Alker's done. You've seen what Bernard Langer's done over a long period of time. You see what Ernie's doing, and and now Stuart Sink's come out and playing at a high level. We're fingers crossed, hoping Tiger could come out and play some golf, which would be wonderful for all of us as an experience, I think. It's a really high level of golf, and I don't think it probably doesn't get talked about enough. To be fair, I think there's. It probably doesn't get the traction that it should. It is a very nice level of golf.
All right, so you mentioned Tiger. What are the whispers in the locker room, Greg? What are you guys hearing about the prospect of Tiger coming out and competing?
Look, I honestly don't know. All we do is we hope. It's a really, like Tiger's one of those guys that every person wants him to come and play in their event, and PGA Tour want it, we want it, and so. All we do is hope he would come out and play. I would think he'd want to add the USGA trophy and complete the cabinet and add the US Open, which would have him have every trophy they have. And I think the only person to ever do that, if he does do it. So I would think he would want to do that. And I don't know enough about his health to sit here and talk about it, so I wouldn't. But it's just a picture of hope that he would come out and play some golf. I think it'd be fabulous for our tour. And great for the fans. Like, what a great opportunity to come, and potentially there'd be a lot of people who've never seen him hit a golf ball, and to have that opportunity would be just incredible.
Well, in reference to Tiger, but even using yourself as an example of other players, whether we're talking about head, shoulders, knees, and toes, backs, and otherwise, PGA Tour Champions, you guys can take the buggy. He can climb in a golf cart, and that has to take a little bit of wear and tear off the walking in the body and all that either Tiger's dealing with or you or anybody else.
It does. It's just, I'd say the hardest bit is probably the events he wants to play the most, which are our majors. You're not technically not allowed to do that unless you apply for an exemption for it, which I doubt he would do. But even though he may qualify, but we've had players do that. It definitely it takes the load off a little bit, particularly if you want to play a decent schedule. You don't have to walk if you don't want to. So, personally, I don't run the rules, but I'd make it as easy as possible. I don't care if you drive the cart on the green. Let's go. I just want to see him play.
Greg, you just said I don't run the rules, but I would like to ask you, if you were running the rules, if you were the czar of golf for a day, a month, a year, whatever, you're the czar, you determine the time period, what would Greg Chalmers change?
On the PGA Tour level?
No, just in golf. You take it anywhere you want.
Look, I like to lean into competition. I think the game is moving more towards, rightly or wrongly, moving more towards a select group of players a small amount of times or a number of times. I have never thought in my career or in any sport that less competition was better. And so I would lean into, instead of field sizes of 70 to 80, more at 120 at least, to give guys more opportunities. I think you need to find out who the next great players are. And in an effort to manufacture those moments of great players going head to head down the stretch, that is so rare and so difficult to do. But a great, player like a Rory or a Scotty going against anybody and driving the competition is wonderful for the fans to watch. You need that storyline. You need more storylines, not less. And I think what we see with some of the options we have out there for fans, less storylines doesn't necessarily lead to close finishes in the game, in the tournament. So that's just my personal take. I would lean into more competition rather than less. But I don't get to make the rules. The good news for all of us, even though it doesn't really matter what I think, the fans decide. And I think we've regulated our game towards what the players want, and that's fine. But you then have to, the fans have to decide, is this what I want to watch? And so that's something that we'll find out, I'm sure.
Yeah, to your point, when you have a 120-player field and the stars are still going to be there and the presumption is that the cream is still going to rise to the top, but you have, as a result, this opportunity for a David and Goliath, right?
Yes.
Somebody you didn't expect. We still talk about Bob May and Tiger Woods all these decades later, et cetera, et cetera. But when you're looking at a game that, as you just described it, is becoming more top-heavy, and you said, that the fans vote on that, et cetera, et cetera. When we hear the game discussed by the powers that do make the rules, the powers that be, they'll talk about the players. They'll talk about the investors, Strategic Sports Group and what have you. They'll talk about the fans. They're definitely going to talk about the sponsors of these different events. I'm not hearing as much talk nowadays about the charities. Has that kind of dimmed down in your view?
Yeah, that's a great question. And look, I think it's not spoken about, but it still happens. It's obviously the structure of the PGA Tour now with PGA Tour Enterprise is for profit. And so, yes, you're right. I think you're right there. They're not talking about it, probably leaning into that as much as they should, in my opinion, because it is a wonderful, like what the PGA Tour does for the local communities, local charities, is just wonderful. And one of the byproducts, if they do choose to have lesser events, is that goes out the window. And that's a shame. That's a bit of a shame. I would hate to, the communities that the game goes to, whether it's the Champions Tour or the PGA Tour, you have an impact. And so I think to see that go by the wayside would be frustrating. But they have to lean into now making money. It's a different structure now. And so they're trying to do that. And the fans get to decide by turning on the TV or going to the events if they like the way it's going. And so far, I think that the new stuff has been pretty decent. I was happy to see that some of the guys from Q School got into some of the events recently, which I was sort of waiting to see how that all plays out. So that was good. I just want opportunities for guys because we have to find out how good they are. And you can't if you're just sitting at home watching on TV. So so that'd be something I was pleased to see out of this new system.
Yeah, indeed. And to this point that you were making about charitable efforts, I always think it's worth mentioning personally that all of you do so much back in your local community. So here I was talking about the kind of grandiose, broad, macro level of giving back to charity, but each of you individually do so much. And for that, we say thank you, Greg, for your efforts. But you want to talk to us about what you've done over the years, particularly in helping with autism?
Oh, yeah, thank you, mate. Look, my charity is called MaximumChances.org. It's named after my son, Max, who's on the spectrum, the neurodivergent, high-functioning kid, just about to graduate A&M.
Right.
Yeah, with an economics degree. Looking for a job if anyone has one. But he's doing great. And we're very lucky we're always able to afford therapies for him. So for about the last 11 years, we've run our charity. Lots of players do like wonderful things. If you look in the autism community just alone, like what Ernie Els is doing is incredible. Having a whole school that he raises money for every year and has a massive footprint, which is just fantastic. We're a smaller footprint, but pretty effective, and paying for speech therapy and behavioral therapy for people in the Dallas Metroplex. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. But MaximumChances.org, if you get a chance to take a look, I'd appreciate it.
MaximumChances.org if you want to check out Greg's efforts and his family there. I wanted to ask you about, and I hope this doesn't come out of left field, but you're so articulate and you're a deep thinker and you listen to what people are asked that I wanted you to weigh in on something that's going to become, I believe, a more prominent conversation in the next couple of years. And that's a discussion about the rollback of the technology relative to the golf ball. First and foremost, where do you stand on that, if I may?
Yeah, I used to care a lot about this. And what I've sort of learning is that, it really doesn't matter what I think. Look, I think if you're going to be mad at anybody and you're frustrated by the lack of rollback or you want rollback, if you're for rollback, the people you should be most mad at are the governing bodies, right? They're the ones who let this cat out of the bag. And anytime, to me, you have a discussion about rollback, then that is a failing of the governing bodies. That is the RNA and the USGA not doing their job initially, right? Because they've allowed, and I get very frustrated in our game at our level, that we continually have these situations where guys get really good at something, and then you turn around and say, "Oh, I didn't realize you were going to do that." So I get my position is that I don't want them to change much because we keep reinforcing these governing bodies, and I prefer they just do a better job. And so there's a piece of this. Look, we're going to do it. I'd imagine. I think they pushed it back a little, the time frame a little further. I don't know that you're going to see what you want to see as a fan of rollback. I just don't know you're going to get what you're going to get because these guys now are just bigger, faster, stronger. We are so much more well-informed on how to be optimal. You look at what Justin Rose was doing last week at 45 years old. He's longer at 45, it seems, than he was at 35. I don't know if that's true, but it's certainly, like, looking at what he's doing is incredible.
It is true, actually, yeah.
And so, right, so you have these athletes that are just so much more informed. And so when you can be optimal, it makes for some impressive golf is what you see just in that micro last week, as an example. And so more of that is possible. And so, yeah, you can roll it back, and we'll adjust as players. I don't know that it'll change the viewing product that much because we still have course setup. Like if the tour wants us to reach a par 5 in 2, they can make that happen. If they want it to be par 5 in 3, they can. In a lot of cases, they can make that happen too. We have the room sometimes on the PGA Tour. So I don't know if it's going to change the viewing product for the viewer that much.
Yeah, my issue, Greg, is not, believe it or not, so much on the professional level. If golf's governing bodies and what you were talking about was really about being reactive versus planning ahead, and golf's governing bodies are the ones who have ordained and approved technology since the beginning. And so if the technology is a horse that got out of the barn, guess who left the gate open? Now, having said that, I also agree with you that the best players in the world are going to adjust. And I would say that with an asterisk, with a caveat, saying it's still odd to me that we've been given a directive, and you're correct, that it's been moved to 2030 when the rollback will be initiated instead of 2 years earlier at the highest elite levels of the game. But it's still odd to me that it's been put in place and it's been set as definitive when, to my knowledge, no one at a large scale has seen or tried this new proposed golf ball. And we're being told that the golf ball has a bit of a magic bullet element that for the best players in the world, they're going to lose somewhere between 11 to 15 yards, which to me doesn't make any sense because a golf ball is a rubber compound and it's subject to inbound force creates outbound velocity. So how can you look at times a wide array of swing speeds and ball speeds amounting to a very similar reduction in overall distance individually? That doesn't make any sense to me. But having said all that, I still think that what you're saying is correct, that the best players in the world are going to figure it out, right?
Yes.
You guys are going to figure it out and work around it. What I have an issue with is why it was initially presented to us that this would not impact the other 99.99% that pay for the world that we all enjoy, right? The recreational golfer, as they call it, amateur golfers, if you please. Why all of a sudden do they have to bear the brunt of what people see as apparently offensive, that the best players in the world are really super good at what they do? That's the part of it that I don't understand. As a professional, do you have a dog in that fight, or is that a part of this that you're even watching?
Oh, absolutely. Like, I don't want anything that makes people go, oh, I don't think I want to play much golf anymore. Like, I don't want any part of amateurs having to deal with something that is going to make them have pause about going out and playing golf and enjoy the game. All I care about when it comes to amateur golf, did you enjoy yourself? Did you have fun? It's a very difficult game, and yeah, we're about to potentially make it more difficult. But like I said earlier, Matt, that's probably the most frustrating thing out of all of it, is that you have conversations like this that have to happen because our governing bodies just haven't done their job, right? If they'd have done their job, we don't have this discussion because we don't know any different. And so This is the problem. It's like flying first class and expecting everyone to go sit back in the economy now, and you just don't want to do it. And so it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. My hope is that it's not going to be seamless, but I'm hoping it's reasonably seamless. And I certainly don't want any part of this to reflect on for the amateurs. I just want them to enjoy the game. Such a great game.
Yeah, again, I go back to the same comment that I made to you earlier, Greg, that if you're going to do a move of this stature, where you've got the average driving distance, and this is everyone under the same umbrella of 209 yards, and it drops dramatically with age and handicap range. And with the women, you're talking about 156 yards. Let that simmer for a second. And now you're going to go to those two bodies and go, oh, by the way, and given the fact that you're the two groups that actually pay for these golf balls, we're going to reduce your distance. It doesn't, that part has yet to make sense to me. Why the amateur has to sacrifice in order to reel in the best players in the world. It doesn't make sense. My suspicion is it's directly related to commerce. It's directly related to equipment companies wanting to ensure of the punter at home saying, I want to play the wedge that Greg's playing. I want to hit the ball that he's playing with the way that I'm seeing him hitting it, not realizing that that's not simply about the ball. It's also about all of these other factors, including swing path and angle of attack, et cetera, the numbers that you said you know so well. So anyway, I'm sure I will continue to talk to you about that as we move forward. Another element of this whole conversation that bothers me personally is that because of the, as they call it, partnerships with golf's governing bodies and the major media companies, they're not talking about this. Everybody's going along for the ride, and I continue to ask the question, who is representing the great unwashed? Who is representing that 99.99%? Where and how is their voice being heard? So we'll see how that plays itself out. Did you have any other comments on this before I ask you anything else?
No, not at all, mate. You go ahead.
The next question I wanted to ask you before we wrap up today, and first of all, I very much appreciate all the time you're giving us. Brooks is back on the PGA Tour. We hear constant rumors about other prominent players that may consider the same and come back to the PGA Tour. With where we were, say, 2 to 3 years ago, where there was this great battle, there were threats made, blah, blah, blah. And then there was the discussion that, we're all going to be one big happy family. And then, massive money was invested in the PGA Tour. And that discussion isn't so much anymore, to the point where people are saying that discussion is effectively dead. That's from other sources. And my question to you is, with all that, with the direction that we're going right now, Brian Rolap, the new CEO of the PGA Tour, et cetera, is golf at its highest tiers in a better place right now in February of 2026 than where we were 24 or 36 months ago?
For the players financially, yes. For the fans, debatably, I don't know. Probably not, because they're not getting what I would want as a fan, which is the best players playing against each other regularly, week in, week out. So I think for the fans, they're probably the biggest loser out of this stuff, this mess. So we've had Patrick Reed and Brooks, coming back, and Brooks just played his first event last week. I think the interesting thing with that was, for me anyway, as a fan of the game and a fan of Brooks, watching him work really hard down the stretch on Friday to make the cut. I think that toughness and competitiveness it just breeds you a better player. I think, and that's what, to my earlier point, when we talk about having less competition, I don't think it helps the player. I think it really helps them to have more competition and more reasons to grind away and be better at their craft. And you see that when you have 120 dudes in a cut line or 140 dudes in a cut line. And you've got one of the game's best players just working his tail off trying to get to the last 2 days. And so that's a byproduct of just having more competition. And that just breeds better players over time, in my opinion. So, look, the fans are probably the biggest loser, I think, out of all of this. It's moving back towards, the PGA Tour is just rolling along. They've got to be really buoyed by these guys wanting to come back and play. And then a couple of players saying no to LIV, which I also think is interesting and damning, tough for LIV. When you offer 8 and 9 figures to players and they say no thanks as a signing bonus, that's not great. And so really important year for Liv. They've just got their world ranking points. They're changing their format. It's their 5th year. And so pretty important year that they start to get a little more traction than what they've got. Again, 57 players and 4 rounds. I think you're going to get a healthy diet of spread out competition and not compelling golf, not compelling finishes. And so that's going to be really tough.
Greg, there were times during the height of your prowess on the PGA Tour where you would touch number 1 on tour in putting. And whereas putting tends to be a skill that diminishes as one gets on in age, you come on the PGA Tour Champions and you still have a velvety touch. What is that like for you? I guess the simplistic way, the desperate way, I guess, of asking the question is, what's been the secret of putting for you?
Look, it's always a bit of a debate, like how much of this is just a talent that you have. I definitely work very hard. I definitely practice a lot, but there's a lot of guys who practice a lot. I definitely have good feel. I have a good tempo and a good motion. I would say as I've aged, it has been an issue, like reading greens and seeing lines. My instincts of what I'm doing there, either born out of not playing as much golf but not being able to practice as much. I can't do 2-hour putting sessions anymore. My back will break in half. And so that effort that I used to put into the game, it has diminished through just being older. And so there is a slowdown to your abilities. But there's still moments and rounds where it's a lot of fun. I think for a lot of guys, we all put a lot of love and passion into our craft, and maintaining your strengths is a part of that, and fixing your weaknesses is a part of that. So I've done a decent job of finding a list of things that I need to putt well and kind of sticking within my realms. It's all pretty simple stuff, and it's helped me have that as a strength to my game over the years.
Yeah, but you've dodged and weaved around the core question that I just asked you. What is your secret to putting?
I would say my ability to not worry about the result and focus on just what I can control. I would say that'd be it. And just a core belief that once you start to learn, when you start winning strokes gained on the PGA Tour a couple of times, you start to learn that you're pretty good at something. And once you gain that confidence, it starts to feed itself a little bit. It doesn't hurt, Matt, that for about 30 years now, people keep saying, hey, you're a good putter. That helps. Right? You keep getting positive feedback.
Well, see, you mentioned something that I'll finish up on this, and I do want to ask you about. Feel free to mention your sponsors and all this before we say goodbye today, Greg, as well. But you mentioned something with putting, and it's long been my personal theory that when you talk about the ability to handle pressure in the most crushing cauldron and putting, there's an element of those two that comes down to how you're wired, right? When you think about someone like Jack Nicklaus or Tiger Woods and their ability to do what they did at the time that they needed to do it, we look at them now and go legendary. And we like to build around that and go, well, they're mentally tougher than anybody else, or they're physically tougher than anybody. This whole kind of hero that we build around our sports athletes. But then I look at guys that were linebackers that could run through a brick wall that are playing in a pro-am, and the guy's nervous as could be, right? And it's like, it can't just be about physical toughness. I swear there has to be something. And every time I have this conversation with a sports psychologist, they hate it. They reject it. They're like, no, that's not what it is. So you're a great putter. And you kind of talked about that. How much of it is pressure, putting, etc.? How much is it a gift?
A lot of it, I think. And I think I've been doing this since I was a kid, and I've always been good at it. Like since the moment I started, I've always been good at it. And my tempo isn't something I had to work on. The way the putter moved isn't something I really had to work on much. Now I do as I've gone through my career, but right out of the gate, it was pretty good. I think the stuff you're talking about there, mental toughness, I think some people, sometimes they confuse, like I think of mental toughness as in your ability to do what you need to do to be successful mentally. Now that can be just getting out of your own way. There's a toughness to that, or accepting results. There's a toughness to that. being kind to yourself potentially if that's what you need. I think what the great players do in any area of the game, they figure out what they need to be like, what state they need to be in, and how they need to mentally, what state they need to get into to perform. And that's why you'll see someone like a Tiger Woods look vastly different than a Dustin Johnson when they're playing golf, or a Brooks Koepka. You know, so two vastly different examples. And so, but they know what they need, and that's all that matters. And so, but yeah, I think there's a part of this that is it a gift, or is it something, a natural ability? I think there's a big piece of that, yes, to athletic performance.
Anybody you want to mention in terms of sponsors that help you do your thing?
Oh, thank you to Titleist as always, mate. See their share prices went up, probably because Greggy's wearing the hat right now. And then check out Scudo, S-K-U-D-O, flooring services, flooring protection services, Australian-owned company here in Dallas. They don't sponsor me; they just donate to my charity, and because of that, I wear their logo. Wonderful company.
What was the spelling of that? K-U-D-O?
S-K-U-D-O.
Scudo. S-K-U-D-O. If you guys
great company, just give to my charity and help us out in the local community.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Well, we thank you very much, my friend, and the time that you have given us. It's always fascinating. I'm very much looking forward to it again. Good luck with the healing, and very good luck when you get back out there competing again.
Thank you, Matt. Have a good day, buddy.
Good to see you. And folks, thank you so much for your company as ever. This is why we love doing this show, to get a chance to speak to people like Greg and to Gary and of course, have the company of all of you. Until we are together again, be well and goodbye for now.